That's a lot of books. I've read over 30 books last year, covering topics from finance all the way to philosophy, for one reason alone: knowledge. Now I know I sound a lot like that one guy standing in front of his Lamborghini, pointing at his bookshelf and saying that that's more valuable. But in retrospect, he is 100% right. Knowledge is incredibly valuable. Charlie Munger, one of the richest men in the world with a net worth of $2.6 billion, once said, "In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. Zero." And he's right. Think about it. Iman Ganzi, Alex Hormozi, Naval Ravikant, and even PewDiePie are all very successful individuals, but all at one stage or another were huge readers. It's funny actually, PewDiePie recently made a video about books he plans to read in 2025. I'll put it in the description below if you want to check it out. This is a man who has literally everything, but continues to read regardless. That just shows how important reading is for everyone. So why is it that majority of people don't actually read? Well, most of my friends don't read simply because they don't like it or they think it's boring. And believe it or not, I was one of those people, even though you see this. Back in 2023, when I was studying at university in Brisbane, I thought university was quite dull and dragged on for too long, so I looked for an escape, and it turns out that reading was that escape. One day before class, I went into a bookstore and picked up a copy of Atomic Habits because I heard so many good things about it. So I sat in class, ignoring what the lecturer was saying, and I just started reading. Now I know that sounds super wasteful and rude, but since we were covering familiar old content preparing for an exam, I didn't think it was a big deal. And I'm so glad that I actually did that. I finished Atomic Habits in less than a week because the content was just so revolutionary. And that was the beginning of my reading journey. Fast forward 1 year and I've read nearly 3 books a month. And for 2025, that number is only going to climb. But after reading so much, would I recommend it to you or anyone else to do the same thing that I've done? My answer is yes and no. Let me explain. Reading is incredibly valuable. It does more than just provide knowledge. It forces you to stay focused for extended periods of time, something that's becoming increasingly difficult as content gets shorter and shorter. What makes reading even more valuable is that it places you inside the author's mind. Sure, you could watch some 10-minute summary of Atomic Habits, and get the main points pretty fast, but I can almost guarantee that you're going to forget all those points within an hour because there's no intrinsic connection to them. However, if you read the book over the course of a week or the course of a month, you'll feel the author's passion for the content or the topic. Engaging with the content for a longer period of time helps it stick in your mind and develop in the long-term memory. Of course, you won't remember every single point in the book. I sure as hell don't remember everything in Atomic Habits, but the most important ideas will resonate and stick with you for life. So why do I say no to reading as much as I did? Well, it comes down to action. I read books on all sorts of topics, but my biggest downfall was my lack of action. If you're going to read a book about building good habits, it's essential to implement those steps the same day you learn about them. This reinforces what you've learned and stores it in your long-term memory. Action is crucial, and unfortunately, I didn't act enough. I read books about macroeconomics and about scaling million-dollar businesses to billion-dollar businesses, but I didn't have a business that was generating millions of dollars, and I wasn't an economist. So a lot of that knowledge just kind of faded away. If you're going to get into reading, make sure to, number 1, find a book that you can act on immediately, and number 2, apply what you learn as soon as possible. Take your time. There's no rush. Absorb as much as you can and put it into practice in the real world. So, 2025, what is Michael Richman going to be doing? Well, I plan to focus on books that I can act on in the present. So since I'm getting into politics, I've picked up 2 political books. I've got The Dreamers and Schemers and I've got the good, the bad, and the ugly. But at the moment, I'm reading this book. Now, this book is called The Discourses and Selected Writings of Epictetus because I think Stoicism is critical in building the resilience and the foundations for bouncing back and forth with people who simply just don't agree with you. Every book that I read now serves a purpose. Some people are driven by curiosity, others by necessity, others by romance. Everyone is different. Find something that you love and you'll be far more motivated to read. If you think you're not a reader or that you'll never enjoy reading, I respectfully disagree with you. Everyone has a sweet spot for reading because storytelling is a fundamental component to being human. Books are some of the greatest forms of storytelling money can buy. I promise, pick up a random book and start reading. You will be absorbed in the content or story and come to love reading forever. As always, make sure to like and subscribe and take care.